Welcome to Geopolitical News Updates by Short Tao, your source for geopolitical news from around the world. Today is June 25th, 2025. This is a detailed summary of events leading to Israel-Iran war of 2025. We begin with the thesis that President Donald Trump 1.0 and 2.0, Benjamin Netanyahu, and AIPAC, American Israel Public Affairs Committee, played central roles in instigating the Israel-Iran war of 2025. Intoxication with power and control, readiness to twist facts, illegal pursuit of goals, which are contrary to international law and institutions. These are the imperialist tendencies that instigated the war. 1. Between January 20th, 2017 and May 8th, 2018, President Trump, Netanyahu, and AIPAC again intensified their quest for war with Iran.
When JCPOA was first introduced by the Obama administration, Benjamin Netanyahu and AIPAC, a powerful pro-Israel lobbying group in the United States, played significant roles in opposing it. Netanyahu argued that the deal, which lifted sanctions on Iran in exchange for restrictions on its nuclear program, posed an existential threat to Israel by allowing Iran to eventually develop nuclear weapons. He actively campaigned against the agreement, delivering a high-profile and controversial speech to the U.S. Congress in 2015 to oppose it. AIPAC joined Netanyahu in strongly opposing the JCPOA, investing significant resources into efforts to block its passage. The group spent millions on advertising campaigns and lobbied lawmakers extensively, making the defeat of the Iran deal one of its top priorities. However, despite these efforts, the Obama administration succeeded in securing enough support to uphold the deal, and AIPAC's campaigns against it ultimately failed to prevent its ratification.
2. All along, Trump's views on JCPOA were instigated by Israel through Netanyahu and AIPAC. By implication, Israel was all along plotting the war of 2025 with Iran.
In May 2018, President Donald Trump 1.0 canceled the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, formerly known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA. Why? Because he viewed it as a one-sided agreement that did not adequately address U.S. national security concerns. Trump claimed the deal disproportionately benefited Iran by lifting economic sanctions without sufficiently curbing Iran's long-term nuclear ambitions or its geopolitical influence in the Middle East. He argued that the agreement weakened U.S. leverage over Iran and emboldened its regional power. Despite international monitoring and repeated certifications by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, that Iran was complying with the deal, Trump chose to withdraw U.S. participation, reimposing sanctions as part of a broader maximum pressure campaign aimed at forcing Iran into renegotiating a more restrictive agreement.
3. The battle against JCPOA by Israel through Netanyahu and AIPAC intensified once Trump became president of the U.S. in January 20, 2017.
Netanyahu's war on JCPOA was more successful during Donald Trump's presidency 1.0. President Trump withdrew from the JCPOA on May 8, 2018, fulfilling Netanyahu's objective. AIPAC supported this move, reflecting a broader alignment between Netanyahu's foreign policy priorities and the Trump administration's stance on Iran. Netanyahu's campaign against the deal, however, continued to resonate with Republican lawmakers and conservative circles, reinforcing the deep partisan divide over U.S. Middle East policy.
4. Immediately he became the U.S. president. In January 20, 2025, Trump did not waste any time in initiating negotiations with Iran, an attempt to look for reasons to start a war with Iran.
U.S.-Iran negotiations began on April 12, 2025. Following a letter from President Donald Trump to Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, with the aim of reaching a nuclear peace agreement. The negotiations were led by U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, with the first round of high-level meetings held in Oman. President Trump set a 2-month, 60-day deadline for Iran to reach an agreement, which was subsequently extended to June 18, 2025. During the negotiations, Both the Iranian foreign minister and the White House described the discussions as constructive. The second round of Omani-mediated talks took place in Rome on April 19, 2025, with indirect discussions between Witkoff and Araghchi, followed by a third high-level round of talks. President Trump had consistently maintained that Iran could not be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, a stance he reiterated multiple times both in office and on the campaign trail. He emphasized that the negotiations were aimed at ensuring that Iran would not pursue nuclear weapons, which suggested that he received huge campaign funds from some donors friendly to Israel. The Trump administration's approach was characterized by constant threats of military force against Iran. Before the conclusion of the negotiations, Israel attacked Iran 13 June 2025, so Israel started the war. At the time of Israel's attack on 13 June 2025, U.S.-Iran negotiations were still ongoing and not yet completed nor ended. The 60-day deadline set by Trump had not yet expired. It was extended to 18 June.
5. It is therefore woefully, blatantly incorrect for anybody to claim that the negotiations failed before Israel attacked Iran unprovoked. Anybody making such a claim must be working for Israel and AIPAC.
The war started while diplomacy was still active. Some say Israel acted independently. Others say Israel started the war with tacit U.S. support. But we do know with certainty that Israel did not start the war as a direct result of failed negotiations. An exact sequence of events before Israel's attack on Iran on 13 June 2025 is easily established using information littered everywhere in public spaces. President Donald Trump therefore played a central role in the Israel-Iran War of 2025, first by canceling 2015 JCPOA agreement, by succumbing to pressures mounted by Benjamin Netanyahu and AIPAC, by not stopping Israel from attacking Iran while negotiations were ongoing, and by escalating the conflict in attacking Iran's nuclear enrichment sites. Iran was only retaliating to provocations and war initiated by Israel. Iran was forced to launch ballistic missiles and drones at Israeli military and civilian targets in an operation called True Promise 3. Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei warned Israel that it should anticipate a severe punishment.
We summarize as follows. 1. President Trump caused the war by cancelling JCPOA and by taking the side of Israel. 2. Israel started the war on 13 June 2025 before the conclusion of negotiations initiated by President Trump. 3. Iran had to retaliate as a defensive measure against Israeli aggression. 4. The war is ongoing as of 24 June 2025, with no official ceasefire or peace agreement in place. International actors, particularly the US, have deepened the conflict rather than ending it, with Trump signaling continued support for Israel's military campaign against Iran.